This is going to be one of the most unusual Damian on designs we've seen in a while. I don't even know what a succulent is, but we're going to talk about succulents. and we're going to talk about them in a way I don't think anyone has ever seen them before. Damian Farrell from Damian Farrell Design Group, a local architect, joining us on the Lucy Ann Lance Show every weekend here. And Damian, you encountered this from someone in your office.
Krishna Taylor, who has been on the show before, showed up in the studio. She's one of our architects 2 weeks ago wearing one of these extraordinary rings. And to describe the ring, it's a silver ring with a large, probably about the size of a quarter, base, and growing in that base are live succulents.
All right, what is a succulent?
Why don't we ask our guest what a succulent? All I know is that I think it's your new best plant because it requires no maintenance, no water. It just does its own thing. This is the perfect Lucy Ann
And it
plant.
makes perfect jewelry. We welcome in today the designer and florist, Susan McLeary. She is a floral designer, artist, instructor, and owner of Ann Arbor-based Passionflower. Nice to have you. You are
welcome.
so creative. Your work is gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
I love this ring I'm wearing. What is in this?
I have a few different types of succulents in that ring, and I'm not going to remember all the names offhand. I'm more of a florist than a plant enthusiast, I have to say. But succulents are plants that hold their water very well in the petals, and they're very easy to care for. They don't need much in terms of water, just nice soil that has some drainage to it. That's pretty much it.
Where did you learn to create jewelry out of succulents?
Well, I started making jewelry. That was my first hobby before I became a florist. And the floral jewelry trend really caught my attention. And I started playing with making jewelry with flowers in them. And then I started making succulent jewelry because a photographer asked for some floral jewelry to be sent to California. And I had to figure out how to make jewelry that would last. And succulents look good out of the water for upwards of 6 weeks, depending on the type. So I can make the jewelry that way.
Does my ring only last 6 weeks that I'm wearing right now?
Yeah, well, probably. They do look good for a number of weeks, and then I instruct people just to remove the plants gently, and you can pot them and keep them, and they can grow.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
But then you could start a new ring.
You could, yeah.
So you can go to one of Susan's classes and learn how to do it.
You give
certainly.
a class in this.
Yes.
I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could never do this.
So this is,
You could, yes.
I mean,
it's
talk about,
easy.
it's so green in more ways than one.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
You know, it's sustainable, it's ongoing, it's changing. It's brilliant. It's
You
just
do
absolutely brilliant.
Necklaces, earrings, rings.
Bracelets, yep. I call them corsage alternatives. People go to my site and order them usually for weddings, for their bridesmaids as gifts, or brides buy them, the statement necklaces, and then they have something they can plant later and keep as a keepsake as well.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about how you got into being a floral designer. You're a local gal, right?
I am, yep, Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor. So how did this career start for you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. It was really accidental. I was making jewelry as a hobby, and I started making jewelry for friends who were getting married. And one friend kind of ran out of time and didn't hire a florist, and she said, well, you're creative, you can probably do this. And it sounded interesting, so I said yes. And when I was doing it, designing the flowers in that moment, I just had this huge smile on my face, and I thought to myself, I think I'm supposed to be doing this. So
It made you
That's a
happy.
great
it made
story.
me happy. Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
a moment where I stopped and thought, wow, I never thought about being a florist, and
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love what I'm doing right now. So I did a number of friends' weddings, I think 10 in the next 2 years, and I used those as practice. And then I just started absorbing all the knowledge I could, reading every book I could find, taking every class I could find, and started my own business about 5 years ago.
What do you think about when you're putting together, just for a bride, her floral display to hold?
I
Or
think
bouquet.
about the colors she loves, the things she's attracted to, the season, the setting, what she'll be wearing, her coloring. Yeah.
But what I love about your work is I look online on your website, which we can direct everyone to. It's passionflowerevents.com. Damian,
Yeah.
I want you to kind of expound on this because it seems to me it's very artistic and artful and has a lot of
composition
different...
was the word I was
exactly.
going to use.
Her
When I
composition's
look at-
very different from other
Yeah.
bouquets that I've seen.
Every piece, as I scroll through the images, even the small earring, all the way from the very delicate small earring pieces to the necklace corsage pieces, the composition and the color combinations are just beautiful.
Thank you.
The differences between the way you use the larger succulents and offset them against the smaller ones and pull in some color, it's just stunning. I mean, it's so completely and utterly unique. It's just, they're so rich, aren't they?
They really
There's so
are.
many, the
Yeah.
layering, and just looking at the one you have on, and the contrast between the very delicate or very fine flowers on the darker green and then the larger, much more succulent pieces and how they wrap around each other. There's such a beautiful element of design to them.
What are the favorite flowers right now for bouquets, for wedding bouquets?
Definitely dahlias, garden roses always, peonies. But people are starting to ask for more foliages and unusual textures, so I love this trend. It isn't just the standard roses anymore. People really pay attention and want something unusual.
Unusual textures as in what? What would be unusual?
Yeah, a lot of like ranunculus flowers and hellebore and foliages by name. Brides are asking for certain foliages, and
Oh, really?
they know them by name, which is great. A lot of eucalyptus, nine bark, things you'd find in the garden.
Yeah.
Are now finding their way onto the table, which is great. Vine, passion vine, and
When do you actually put a bouquet for a wedding together?
when? We usually start designing our weddings on Wednesday. I have a cooler, so I can keep things cool and fresh. We start on Wednesday, and we usually do the bouquets on Friday for a Saturday wedding, typically.
And then generally what happens to the bouquet after the wedding?
Typically, the bride keeps the bouquet. Sometimes they don't, but typically they keep them.
Dries out
Sometimes
and-
they dry them.
Yeah.
You say, so the bouquet that, you can tell I've never been married, the bouquet, the bouquet they throw is
a separate.
Separate, and
Yeah.
you do that as well?
I do, yeah. The bridal bouquets are usually pretty large. That's the trend. So if that came flying towards a group of girls,
Oh,
that'd
it
be
could hurt
kind of
someone.
dangerous. Yeah.
So there's a trend right now for large bouquets?
Yes,
Really?
large,
How-
sprawling,
Oh.
natural
Well, that suits you,
shapes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Love
goes back to, I think they were doing that early in...
Oh, yeah. In the 20s,
Yeah.
the Cascade bouquet.
It's more of
was
the
what-
missile approach to Are you seeing a blend between your jewelry and the floral work you're doing? Is there,
Definitely.
pardon the pun, a marriage between these things?
Yes.
How's that happening?
People are asking for floral jewelry.
Okay.
In addition to bridesmaids bouquets, like I said, they
So
might
as a
order a little
keepsake
necklace.
kind of thing? And
Like a bridesmaid's gift.
what a
And
great
a lot
idea.
of crowns. The crown and hair floral pieces are really popular right now, which I'd love to make.
Beautiful necklaces as well.
They are, aren't
Are
they?
they on a rope of some kind, or?
The succulent jewelry,
Mhm.
I make them all on sturdy bases that
Okay.
I've tested and make sure they're nice and comfortable and can bear the weight of the plants.
And is the adhesive something very special, or is it fairly... mean,
It's
it's something
somewhat
anyone can-
special.
Okay.
It's a floral adhesive, so
All right.
it's sold in floral supply warehouse,
Okay.
yeah.
You have to see these. Passionflowerevents.com. It's just so stunning. Just when you think you've seen everything
I know.
in this lifetime,
I know.
and someone comes up with something so unique. Is anyone else doing this?
People are, yeah.
I mean, besides the people you've been teaching,
Yeah, I think so. I think it definitely was a trend. I think I might be the first one to make exclusively succulent jewelry for sale. I haven't seen that done.
Okay.
So I think I'm unique in that, but a lot of my florist friends are making beautiful succulent jewelry and floral jewelry, and I think the trend just kind of took us all on that path.
how much would a ring cost?
I believe the rings are $36 in the store.
That's
in
it?
the Etsy shop.
Oh, that surprises me. And earrings?
It's very reasonable.
The earrings are about $42.
Oh, my
I believe.
goodness. All this work that goes into
What a
it.
great
I'm
conversation
getting very
piece.
fast at it.
Yeah.
So there's something big going on in the whole area here around flowers, right? Last weekend, we had the Flower House down in Detroit, and you have a connection to that.
I do.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
And
how
tell
this
them
is,
what it is.
and
too.
how this is
Yeah.
all connecting in the area?
Yeah, so my very talented friend Lisa Watt of Cotton Box is a flower friend, and there's a group of us in the Detroit Ann Arbor area that are good friends. And she had this idea about a year ago to fill a structure with flowers. She wasn't sure what structure. But she wanted to do a large-scale floral installation that would be enjoyed for a few days. And us as florists love the idea of designing outside the base, just having, free reign. So she ended up buying 2 blighted homes in Hamtramck for $500 total. And last weekend, upwards of 30 florists and probably 100 volunteers filled one of those homes with flowers, top to bottom, walls, ceilings, cupboards, floors, toilets, bathtubs,
How were they adhered to the space?
We didn't use any flower foam or anything that couldn't be responsibly repurposed or composted, so we used a lot of chicken wire, a lot of nails. I had a hammer on my belt the whole week. It felt really good. Drills, screws, hooks, anything we could do to get them on the walls.
And what was the purpose?
The purpose is to bring attention to flowers as art. That's one. This project has a lot of, a lot of layers, a lot of good layers. Another is repurposing blighted properties. She's going to turn the property into a flower farm.
Oh.
So the houses are going to be removed,
The houses
right?
will be
and
responsibly
dismantled.
reconstructed.
Right.
Yeah, which is another layer. There's a great company in Detroit called Reclaim Detroit, and we wanted to give them a little attention that they're doing this good work. So she's decided to partner with them. They're going to deconstruct the homes and repurpose the materials responsibly. It's a wonderful, wonderful company. Yeah, and then it will be turned into a flower farm. So
A flower farm that would distribute to other florists?
Yeah, that would sell to other florists.
Okay.
But another aspect that's interesting is the urban vegetable farm is in the public conversation, but the urban flower farm isn't so much. It's kind of a new idea. And per square foot, flowers can generate more income for people. So it's just another idea to introduce into this conversation of...
You're saying that per square foot flowers actually...
Can produce more
than if you were
profit.
growing vegetables.
True, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's probably a volume thing, right? There are fewer of them. How did this go down in the neighborhood? Or can you describe the neighborhood where this happened?
Yeah, so there's a few empty lots on either side. There
Right.
were homes there at one time.
Yeah.
There's, vibrant homes and, homes that are kept up, and then there's some that are boarded up and abandoned. It's kind of a mixed bag, that neighborhood. But one neighbor was very happy to hear that she's going to have a flower farm, next to his house that he owns, because he's been trying to rent it for some time, and he hasn't had luck.
So this is a game changer for him then.
I would think.
Yeah.
She's bringing more vibrancy to this neighborhood.
Well, and this is where we get into the impact of the revitalization of Detroit, how it's a ripple effect throughout the community and the neighborhoods and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's not just about that particular business or operation, it's what it does for that neighborhood,
That's
too.
right. And she lives in Hamtramck, and she's invested in improving that neighborhood and
She
her
made
city.
She made a conscious decision to do that, didn't she? She was here. I remember when she opened up Pot and Box in Ann Arbor. She still has the studio here?
She has a studio here, and she's, I think she moved to Detroit last year.
Okay.
She loves the city. She's a big force in revitalizing, I think.
All of you are part of that breed of young people, I think, that are thinking outside the box and doing things much differently than the generations before you have done. It's
Well,
amazing.
and it's
That's
just
exciting.
another layer of one of the things we've done on the show for the last 4 years is to look at Michigan as a state of design, and a number of times we've looked at Detroit and what's going on in Detroit, from all the way from automobile design down to what you're doing, and this breadth of creativity is just breathtaking. And the best part is it belongs here in Michigan. It started in Michigan. It keeps going in Michigan.
It's a great story to tell, isn't it?
It is a great story, and we just keep adding to these beautiful stories.
Damian Farrell is a local architect with Damian Farrell Design Group. His special guest today on Damian on Design is Susan McLeary. She's the owner of Passionflower. She's a floral designer, artist, and instructor. You give classes to teach others how to make this jewelry out of plants. Tell us about those classes.
Well, this is somewhat new. I've been teaching one-on-one to professional florists, and I think that's what I'll focus on primarily. When I was starting, it was really hard to find professional instruction, so I love doing that. I just taught a class at the public library, and I plan to do that again, and I taught the living jewelry techniques there. Mostly to professional florists. I teach at conferences and floral workshops. But I think I will do a number of community events too.
That's marvelous. So you have a studio in Ann Arbor. It's off of South Industrial on Ann Arbor's south side. And you specialize in weddings, floral styling, floral fashion, the jewelry we've been talking about. How does someone work with you? How do they contact you?
Through my website, and I do a number of weddings. I don't have a retail shop, so.
Have you thought about that?
I have. It's a fantasy of mine. I don't know if I'll do it. I'd like to travel, and I travel a lot for teaching, and having a shop feels a little
Really
bit
ties you
binding
down,
right
yeah.
now. But it is something I would love to do. I'd love to be that cool flower shop in town.
Yeah.
Because I love Ann Arbor, and I've been here, forever. So maybe
What's
one
also
day.
really impressive is how much you've been published too, and you have a beautiful website, by the way. I think
Thank
the
you.
design is exquisite. But there's an entire page of covers here that I'm assuming are all your work.
They are, yeah.
Beautiful,
Thank
absolutely
you.
beautiful.
I love working with editorial.
Yeah,
kind
a
of-
whole range of
Yeah.
magazines and
Have you been showcased in a magazine then? Yes?
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking at there,
yeah,
Damian?
I am. So Fusion magazine, Flowers, Bride magazine.
Wow.
There's this Best of Hour.
How did that
BuzzFeed.
start for you to get into Brides magazine, for instance?
I've submitted a lot of work. Yeah, I've gone after it because one day I would love to do editorial work that is commissioned.
Right.
So I put myself out a lot to try to get published so that maybe I can get more of that type of work.
What did they say when they first encountered what you do with these plants and flowers and the jewelry? Because it's more than just the bouquet for the wedding for you.
Yeah. I've had a lot of really wonderful people support me, editors and blogs and different people in the floral industry. So I feel really fortunate. I've reached out a lot and I've had a lot of help. So a lot of help getting the
Looks
word
like-
out about what I do.
Looks like one of these blogs, The State of Green, is Australian. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So there it is there, and that's one of your models who shows up, I think, on your
Yeah,
your
she's on the
website.
website.
Yeah.
Um,
One of my
so-
good friends.
Wow.
So your
Beautiful.
reach is wonderful. I mean, that's all the way, that's been picked up abroad.
Again, it's just so unusual. I've never seen anything like this. And it's so nice of you to share this with us
Of
today.
course.
I'm just sad looking at this knowing that in 6 weeks my succulent ring is going to pass on. But if I learn how to create,
It's so easy.
to make a new one, I can keep it going on.
And you can pot it. And
Right.
You can have a beautiful
And-
plant in your windowsill.
Right.
In your brand new house.
It's right. I love this.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today. It's been a
you.
pleasure talking
Yeah, it's been a
with
real
you.
pleasure. Thank you
Yeah.
for bringing local talent.
Yeah.
It's great to highlight it.
What's the
Thank
next
you.
step for you?
More teaching. I'm in love with teaching. So I have a few conferences, large floral conferences that I'll be teaching at this winter and spring. Hopefully going back to Scotland to teach another jewelry class. I did one last fall. More travel, I hope.
Where do these trends come from? Like you said, the bouquet, more of the lawn and the draping that's going on. Where does that start? Is it from brides coming in and telling you, hey, I want this? Or is it you, it's a combination of
I
you.
think it's a combination. I think it has a lot to do with fashion trends.
Mm.
It's kind of hard to say. I think there's just a kind of trend wave that happens throughout a number of different industries, and they all kind of borrow from each other. And I think there's just been a return to nature. People are kind of, they're farming more in their backyards, and they're growing more plants, and more interested in bringing nature inside the home. And I think it just is part of this feeling, this trend in general.
And we're becoming more educated too, which means when we go to ask for certain things, we know the names of those plants. Like you said, the brides ask you for specific flowers now and what they like. Well, wonderful. We wish you well in your business.
Thank
Indeed.
you very much.
Right here in Ann Arbor,
Right here in
Michigan.
Ann Arbor, yeah.
Passionflower, this beautiful floral design studio in Ann Arbor. She's doing just incredible work. Susan McLeary, she's the owner. On Damian Farrell's Damian on Design on the Lucy Ann Lance Show. Thank you, Damian. Good to see you.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much
Appreciate
for
it.
asking.
More coming up on the Lucy Ann Lance Show, Ann Arbor's Talk Station, 1290 WLBY.